Welcome to another episode of the Weeknight Mysteries podcast. My name is Yuras, and I am here with
Your
the.
co-host, Rain. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, how are you?
Completely okay. Excited to record this case because it has a connection to our previous one.
Yeah, last time we talked about Maura Murray's disappearance, and I think what was our conclusion in Maura's case?
Oh, jeez, I can't remember.
I think-
Either she walked and died of natural causes or somebody abducted her.
Yeah, or there was foul play.
Yeah.
Potentially. But I think we both agree that it seems like. I don't know, man. To me, it still seems like the accident is the most. Is something that I'm just leaning towards right now.
What do you mean accident?
Like she was drunk driving, avoiding a potential
Yes.
conflict with the law enforcement. She went into the woods potentially. But hey, we're definitely not ruling out the potential foul play.
Definitely not. No. But this case that we have today is always, for some reason, linked to her because of the proximity, right?
Proximity and the time. And the time when it happened. So obviously we're talking about the Brianna Maitland disappearance, which took place on March 19th in 2004. And some people, since it happened like a month after Maura went missing, some people are naturally speculating whether or not
They're connected.
there could be a connection here. So Brianna Maitland, she was a teenager. She vanished on Friday, March 19th in 2004. She went missing from a small town called Montgomery, Vermont. She disappeared shortly after leaving her job at the restaurant called the Black Lantern Inn.
Okay, so for us non-Americans, where exactly is Montgomery, New York? Is it like a big place?
New York?
Did I say New York?
You said New York.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is not New York. This is Vermont.
Vermont. Sorry, brain fart over there.
It's a very small town in Vermont. Nothing out of the ordinary, just a small Vermont town.
Okay.
Her car was discovered the next day. I think that was the Saturday. And her car was found abandoned. 1.6 kilometers away, or around a mile away, from the restaurant where she was last seen, finishing up her work. And the pictures, I think, of the crash site is what made the Brianna's case also quite notable. Not as notable, I would say, as Maura Murray's case, but the pictures are just very eerie. I think you will agree. We have some images here. What do you see here?
I see an abandoned house in the middle of nowhere. That's the best way I could describe it. It seems like, yeah, this is crazy. And the car is also kind of like old school.
Yeah.
Was it old school?
Yeah, it's old school. It's definitely an older car than what Maura was driving. Because Maura was driving, as I mentioned in the last week's episode, a fairly new model.
At that time, right?
At that time, But this was quite a bit older car. I think it was from the 80s. You definitely don't see these things anymore. But back in 2004, I think this car was like maybe 15 years old, something like that. So it's an old car. It's an older car. And it's backed up into the house in a weird way.
Very weird. So if I'm ever driving that route and I see this, I would definitely be creeped out. Don't you think so?
I mean, it's super eerie. And
Like the house and the car, they're both abandoned and they do share the same vibe. You know what I mean?
yeah. So from the stuff that I was able to find online, this house seems like, well, it's no longer there. It has been demolished, I believe, in 2000. No, not demolished. I think it caught fire and it burnt down in 2016, if I remember correctly. But before it burnt down, this house from some sources, was a gathering place for some of the teenagers from the area where they would meet up and hang out, have a drink.
I don't understand. It's literally in the middle of nowhere.
Maybe it's like a meetup spot. It's
Do
kind
you
of
think it's
notable.
kind of closer to, I don't know, like a bigger area, more populated area? Because it feels like right now it's in the middle of a highway. And I don't understand why a teenager would actually drive to go here.
That's a good point, honestly. I don't know why people would go here. Doesn't really make that much sense to me either.
And it looks so creepy, so haunted.
Maybe that's why they would meet up there. Because it was a spooky location, a strange area, per se. And another reason why we're recording this is because if everything goes according to plan, this podcast is going to come out on March 19th, which will be to the day 21-year anniversary of Brianna's disappearance, because Brianna went missing on March 19th of 2004. So
Oh,
this
jeez.
is 21. This is, if everything goes according to plan, this is going to come out on the 21st anniversary of her disappearance. It's been 21 years since Brianna has been missing. Brianna herself, she was 17, right? When she went missing. So Brianna has been missing for longer than she has been alive. Well, at the point when, she went missing. Brianna, she was born on October 8th in 86. She was born in Burlington, Vermont. So Burlington, if you remember correctly, it's the same place where seems like Maura was trying to go to, at least if you would believe what she looked up online. She was
What's
looking
so
up
special about Burlington?
nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was kind of expecting something like maybe a spa town.
It's the only thing that's special about Burlington is that it's the biggest, and I'm so sorry for like some Burlington fans. It's probably amazing there. I'm not trying to say nothing, but it doesn't seem like there's a specific reason to be attracted to Burlington. It's just the biggest city in Vermont, and it's like 50K people, but that's about it.
Well, I see. Maybe some people would like to go to a bigger city, within the area.
Yeah, within the area, because there's definitely bigger cities out there than
Yeah.
Burlington, But yeah, let's keep going here. Brianna, she was born on October 8th. She was born to Bruce and Kelly Maitland. She was raised with her older brother, and they all lived. The whole family lived in the family farm. So they were kind of like farmers, as I understand.
So wait, were they rich?
I don't know. I wouldn't say so. I don't think they were poor, nor I would say they were rich, because it was never indicated. So it's hard to say. But they grew up in East Franklin, which is a small community in Vermont. It's on the border with Canada. In her youth, Brianna was, it says here, and it's been mentioned quite a bit, extensively trained in jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu, if you are not familiar, it's the martial art of choking people out. No, that's really what it is. That's funny?
No, okay. I was eating yogurt on the side. I nearly choked on the yogurt, yeah. Why would you describe it like that?
Because that's literally how people would describe it.
Okay. I think there must be a better way to describe
there isn't.
This martial art.
No, there isn't. It's really about choking people out, or like...
The art of choking people.
Yeah. No, but it really is. You don't know?
Nope.
No, like you haven't watched MMA, okay? It's this thing called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and there's the regular Jiu-Jitsu. And I think they're the same thing. Basically, they're just trying to like submit people, like bend your leg in a certain
Which
way.
one's the more touchy-feely one?
I think both of them are. Like it's very hands on. Like you're gonna roll around with a person and you're gonna like either do like an arm bar, which is like, like folding a person's arm until they can't take it anymore and they have to tap out, or it's literally choking people out. Like there's different types of chokes where people will pass out. That's how people use this jujitsu in the fight. Like it's all
I
about
see.
grappling. It's all about getting close to a person, wrapping yourself around the person, and then choking them out. Something like that.
So do you think Brianna, if she was ever in trouble, would have used this one
You
to
know,
her advantage?
I would say so because this Brazilian jiu-jitsu thing, there's videos online where people use it quite successfully in street fights.
No, can you imagine like maybe Brianna, a small teenage girl, and a big, let's say a burly man? Would it be effective? I'm just like,
Realistically, I'm thinking the effectiveness would probably be limited on a really big man. Like what are we talking
or like
about?
just a regular dude then.
Regular dude? I think a regular dude would definitely have a hard time because
That's
you're
good.
learned how to grapple. So basically, if you're gonna, it's like if you're gonna try to overpower Brianna, she might like
Twist her body in a way that she would end up choking you. Maybe.
yeah, something like that. So it's definitely gonna cause you issues. It's not gonna be easy. It doesn't ever mention here like which belt she was because in jiu-jitsu there are the belt system. The black belt is the most elite. And okay, technical pause. Okay, back from a quick technical issue, but we're back. Thank God we're back.
Yep.
Yeah, let's move on from that. In her youth, so Brianna attended high school. She attended the high school, I think, close to where she grew up, but eventually she moved out to this other high school in Annosburg Falls, okay, during her sophomore year. So I had to look up what the sophomore year is.
Sophomore.
Sophomore. You
Is-
never heard about this word?
Sophomore.
Huh?
Sophomore.
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 Yeah.
Like a second year.
Yes.
You have a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior, I believe.
Yeah, so I actually had to ask ChatGPT for help, like what exactly sophomore year is, and Chat told me that it's the 10th grade.
Wait, what? I always thought it was the second.
Yeah, it's the second grade of
High school
of
or
high school,
something.
and I think the first grade of high school is grade number 9.
Okay.
If at least that's how it works here. So I'm just assuming that's the same in America, probably. So in her 10th grade, Brianna switched high schools. On her 17th birthday, which was in 2003, she decided that she wanted to move away from her parents' farm. Okay, so this is interesting.
Why?
Yeah, this is an interesting decision. At 17, so her mother, Kelly, she said that there were no serious stresses at home, but Brianna wanted to be more independent and live closer to a group of friends who resided 15 miles away and attended a different high school. I believe the high school, maybe the high school that she was now attending, I don't know.
But that was so young. 17.
It's super young. It's super young at 17.
I don't even know how she managed to survive, like, on her own. Like, what, work and then go back home to her rented place, I believe? Pay the bills? Go to school? It's crazy.
It is.
I can't even imagine myself at 17 living independently, right?
Yeah, so it's a different type of energy here, I would say.
Yeah.
Brianna enrolled at her friend's high school, but her living arrangements were unstable. She moved in and out of several friends' homes. By the end of February of 2004, so this is, I think, let's say 3 months into her living alone, she dropped out of high school and moved in with her childhood friend Jillian Stout in Sheldon, Vermont, approximately 20 miles west of Montgomery, the town where she worked at. She did enroll in a GED program to get her, like education.
What's a GED program? Is it like a 2-year college thing or?
I think it's to complete the high school education
Okay.
in the United States.
Officially, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 weeks before she disappeared, Brianna was, and this is where our first clue comes into place here in this case, attacked at a party by a friend of hers, well, seemed like a former friend, Kelly Lacrosse. The motive for the attack was unclear. However, her father, Brianna's father, said that it stemmed because Kelly was jealous that Brianna was interacting with a male, with a guy at the party. There was some sort of a boy drama.
Which is typical for teenagers.
Yeah.
I don't see anything like different. I wouldn't say different, like a red flag here. More so.
Yeah. Allegedly, Brianna was in a truck. I think maybe in the truck of the guy that she was kind of interacting with. And Kieli just punched her as she was sitting in the passenger seat. Kieli is not in the car here. If I understand correctly, Brianna is in the car. Kieli is outside of the car. She punches Brianna. And Brianna suffers a broken nose and a concussion.
Oh, jeez.
She later files charges against Kieli Lacrosse. The complaint was dropped 3 weeks after Brianna vanished. So naturally, Kieli Lacrosse was looked at potentially as, someone who could have intentions to make Brianna disappear, but police cleared her of any involvement.
Damn. Okay, honestly, my first impression of this, it just seemed like a petty teenage fight, although the punch seemed really strong.
Did you see the?
Yep.
Do you see the?
See her eyes. Are these like black eyes? A black
Yeah.
eye? Yep.
But this doesn't make sense to me because Brianna has black eyes under left and right.
Oh, come on. Imagine you being punched in the center of your nose. Of course you're going to get injury from both sides.
Oh.
And then your nose will be broken and you're going to have a concussion. So it was definitely a strong punch.
So
Kelly was packing it in.
Wait.
Anger.
I was thinking that maybe this was multiple hits.
No, I don't think so.
You think one hit to the nose causes these black eyes?
Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily mean that it was just the center of the nose. It could be like somewhere up here by the bridge.
Okay.
Could be connected.
All right. But the damage looks pretty severe.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to anger Kelly.
So a lot of people were naturally asking, how did Brianna let this happen? Since Brianna was extensively trained in jiu-jitsu. So I don't think that that's necessarily weird. I think that if you're not expecting a punch.
Yeah, it could be a case where it happened so fast.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think it's not necessarily strange that Brianna was, maybe she was taken off guard.
Definitely. I think so.
And
She
then,
wasn't even able to dodge.
yeah. And then we have an image of Brianna and Kelly together. This is before the punch, some time ago. As you can see, they're pretty close with one another. And Kelly does look like she has that mean chick face.
I kind of picture Shakira, but like aggressive version, mainly because she just punched Brianna.
Aggro Shakira, basically.
Basically.
Yeah, she looks kind of like. She looks like she would. It's like from the looks of it, I don't know. Something about her face makes me feel like this is not the first time she was punching someone.
She looks like someone you wouldn't want to be your enemy.
Yeah, potentially. On the morning of Friday, so this is, you know, I'm trying to find out when the punch happened. So we don't 3 weeks before her disappearance. Okay, so 3 weeks later, let's move to the day when Brianna disappears. Okay,
And it was March 19, right?
yeah, Friday.
Okay.
So Brianna took her exams, and I think she passed, and she got her GED. Means that she probably has her high school diploma.
That's good. Okay.
That's good. Then herself and her mother Kelly had lunch to celebrate that, she passed, while Brianna's dad was actually in New York, so he was working. He couldn't be there. So Kelly described her daughter as being in good spirits, and Brianna even told her mother that she intended to go to college. So on the day when Brianna disappears, Brianna shows full intent to not run away, to still stay in this thing. You know what I mean? To like kind of pursue maybe higher education.
Be completely independent.
Yeah, looks like she wasn't trying to run away.
Yeah.
After they had lunch, the two of them went shopping. And they were, I believe, in a mall or something like that. And they were in a checkout line, where you would pay for your goods. Kelly, Brianna's mother, said that Brianna saw something outside of the store. And she said that she would return shortly and left the store. Then her mother, Kelly, she paid for her goods, and then she met up with Brianna in the parking lot. And now Brianna seemed kind of nervous and agitated and shaken. Brianna told her mother that she needed to go home and prepare for her upcoming work shift at the Black Lantern Inn. And her mother, Kelly, did not want to kind of pry on the situation, so she just dropped it. And she dropped off Brianna at Jillian Stout's home. And that was the last time that she had seen her daughter. But this is interesting to me because this is either a red herring in this case, because either this is completely unconnected, or this is already a first sign of Brianna showing signs that there's someone troubling her. And who would that be? Who would trouble Brianna Maitland in a mall as she's shopping for, just regular mall stuff with her mother?
Who would follow her, or who would be in the same area as her that would make her feel agitated
at the middle of the
seeing?
day?
Yep.
On a Friday.
It could be someone who she owns money to.
Someone that she wanted to avoid.
Ex-boyfriend.
But if she avoided the person and she went to the parking, do you think that when she left her mother at the store, do you think that she met up with whomever, caused her attention? Or do you think that she hid and she just later met up with her mom?
That's a very good question, because it could go either way.
Yeah.
It could there could be a possibility she met up with that person and after that she got agitated, or she was already agitated and she hid. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Me neither. I think it's
Right?
unanswerable. There's no answer.
Could
We
be either one.
At some point before leaving for work, Brianna left a note for her roommate, Gillian Stout, and she said that she would return after work that evening. And then Brianna left to go to work in her 1985, which is actually a 19-year-old car at that point. It looks like it was a 19-year-old car back in 2004. It looks like an old car. Why did Brianna leave a note that she would return after work? Maybe that's just how people communicated back then. It's 2004. They
I have
probably
no idea, but then work is like a constant thing. You go there every day. Why would does she
maybe
always...
not as maybe not as a restaurant worker. Restaurant work is not that stable. What
No,
I'm
but
saying
there would be
is,
shifts.
but maybe they're shifting away. Maybe this was like a shift that Gillian Stout wasn't aware of.
Oh, you meant to say like maybe Brianna was always working, let's say 9 to 5, and then all of a sudden the shift is like later on in the day.
Yeah, because they asked her to come in later.
Actually,
Maybe this
yeah.
was because I'm thinking, why would you leave a note?
Was this ever clarified?
No.
Or
That
at
she would
least
be coming back. But then once again, leaving a note that I will come back just adds to the notion that Brianna is not running away.
Definitely, yeah.
So she goes to work. She checks out at 11:20 p.m., probably when the restaurant closes down. Montgomery is a small town. Small town restaurants, yeah, 11 p.m. sounds about right for a restaurant to close down.
Yeah. I mean, sounds the same here in Lithuania.
Sounds like a regular restaurant. So she told her coworkers that she had to go home because she had to take a good night's rest because she had another job in the morning in St. Albans. So she was doing 2 jobs.
Where is that other job? St. Albans.
St. Albans is
Is it far away?
it's also in, I think, in Vermont. St. Albans. I believe that's where one of the people who we talked about in the Bennington Triangle case, the World War I veteran who was visiting the family in St. Albans, the one who apparently vanished in that. Yeah, come on, we're not looking for a connection between
Of
Brianna
course not.
and
It's
that
just
guy.
kind of creepy.
But all of these places, they ring a bell for us lately. The St. Albans, it rings a bell. Ding dong.
What is that about? Okay. Anyways, going back to the case.
Yeah. So the next day, right? Early in the afternoon, this was a Saturday, March 20th, a state police trooper, a trooper.
Wait. So she disappeared 19th.
Yeah.
Or at least that's
I feel like she disappeared 19th going to 20th because she disappeared like
late at night.
super late.
Or could be early 20th.
Could be. So on the next day, on Saturday, a trooper was dispatched to this abandoned house that we looked at earlier. It's about a mile away from where Brianna was last seen at her workplace.
And this is just regular, right? Just regular trooper.
Yeah, regular trooper.
Nothing, no phone calls whatsoever, just random workday, I guess.
Yeah, like a police officer.
Yeah, just going around the area.
He was dispatched. Someone called him to go check out.
Oh.
Someone called him.
For some reason, I thought he was just driving around like his regular route.
Nope.
Okay.
Someone called him because Brianna's car was backed in to that abandoned house. And that abandoned house locally was known as the old Dutchburn house. and her car was in a weird way backed into the house. A piece of plywood had been covering a window on the car's trunk. Two of Brianna's paychecks were on the front seat of her car, so she had two paychecks in the car. So, like, it seems like she didn't leave on her own volition. Somehow she didn't left the scene on her own volition, because why would you leave paychecks? And then also, if it doesn't seem like a robbery either.
I wonder if that plywood was, if someone put that plywood on top of the car, or did it fall down from
I would,
from the house, since the car was backed towards the house.
given all the information that we know about the disappearance, I would say it probably fell off the house.
Yeah, because it looks like it, right? Like the windows are boarded up with plywood.
Yeah.
So it looks like when the car backed into the house, at least a piece of plywood fell down.
I would agree with that. And then we're also loose change around the car, outside of the car, loose change. So some coins, I assume some coins were there. There was a water bottle and an unsmoked cigarette. Get a load of this. Unsmoked cigarette.
Was she smoking?
I
Was
don't
she a
know.
smoker?
It was never mentioned. But there was an unsmoked cigarette. Why would
That's
there be
interesting.
a unsmoked cigarette? It's like you take out the cigarette, you think you're gonna smoke, and then something happens suddenly. You get pushed or you get shoved, or
No, I'm wondering if she was a smoker, if at least someone saw her smoke before. Because if that's the case, then yeah, I would agree with what you're saying right now. But if she wasn't a smoker, then
then
there
the
could be a
suspect is a smoker.
yep, there could be a chance that the suspect was there with her or drag her out and the cigarette fell out of the pocket or something.
This is a good observation. I don't know if she was a smoker, but this is
We don't have any information about it, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. So yeah, it seems like the damage was, honestly, it doesn't seem like the car is that damaged by the looks of it. The trooper assumed that this was a, drunk driving incident, and so they didn't think that the driver is a missing woman. So they just called the towing company and towed the vehicle to the local garage.
Completely understandable. Car in the middle of nowhere, backed into
Oh my god, I'm sorry for that, but yeah, please continue.
an abandoned house. It's easy to think that someone was just drunk.
Very easy, in my opinion. So Brianna was not reported as a missing person for a few days, which was another interesting detail in this case. Because Kelly, her mother, did not learn about the discovery of Brianna's car until 5 days later, and Jillian Stout, the roommate, actually spent the weekend away and found the note that Brianna left her on Monday. So she probably thought that Brianna was staying somewhere else, because if Brianna would have came back home that Friday, back home, she would have most likely, removed that note, that sticky note that, I'm gonna be back, after work.
Yeah.
Why would she not do that? So on Thursday, so we're moving quite a bit into the disappearance of Brianna. Actually, let's jump to Tuesday. So this is gonna be Tuesday, March 23rd. This is officially 4 days into her disappearance. Kelly, her mother, was informed by Jillian Stout that Brianna is not home yet, and Jillian can't get a hold of her. So her mother, Kelly, started calling people that knew Brianna to figure out where she was. And no one could find her, so she filed a missing persons report. And on Thursday, Brianna's parents gave photos to the state police of Brianna, and then one of the police officers showed Brianna's parents the car accident pictures, or like not the car accident pictures per se, but like the pictures of the car that was towed, and they immediately recognized that this was her daughter's car. So Kelly, her mother, said that she was immediately taken back by this picture, and who wouldn't? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
imagine your daughter is not seen anywhere for, let's say, 5 days, and then this is how her car was found like 5 days ago. This is bad news.
Definitely bad.
And when you look at the picture, the car accident seems super unnatural.
Definitely.
Like, how would you back into a house?
In a panic.
Yeah, it's not like,
It's not like you forgot how to drive, all of a sudden you backed into a house, an abandoned house, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna hide.
why would you do that?
Nope.
There's, and I don't think from the information we have, I don't think Brianna was drinking.
No, I don't think so. But I do have a question. Do you think there's a possibility that Brianna backed into the abandoned house, was so freaked out about it, hitchhiked, and got abducted?
Mm, I think that's a possibility, but I would say it's unlikely.
Me too. Mainly because of the paycheck, the uncashed paychecks,
Yes.
right?
Why would you leave up paychecks?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you leave most of your stuff scattered around like that?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, at least that possibility is like thrown away out of the window.
Definitely. So a few people came out later on and they reported what they saw that night when Brianna went missing. You know, the people who were on the road.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, what people? Like, it's in the middle of nowhere.
The people who were passing by that road, you know, there were a few cars here and there. So apparently there was a man who drove past this abandoned house somewhere between 11:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. And this person said that the car's headlights may have been on, and he said that there was no one around the car. So the headlights were on. That means that, you know, I'm just going to immediately go for it, man. If someone abducted Brianna, they did it so quickly and in a panicky way. They didn't even shut off the lights, nor did they take paychecks.
Yeah.
Maybe they weren't even aware of the paychecks. Then a second man who drove by between midnight and 12:30 a.m., so around the same time as the first person, said that they've seen even a turn signal flashing on the car. Now, this is strange. A turn signal?
So, wait. Well, the first witness didn't really specify which light was on. So it could have been just the turn signal all the way through.
Yeah, could have been. Could have been, yeah. Good point. Either way, it's a interesting detail.
It's a very interesting detail. I could see how. I wanted to save this for later, but I guess I'm just gonna say it now.
Say it.
I could say that I could see that Brianna might have been meeting someone there. Things got really bad. There was a little bit of aggression, maybe not even a little bit, and then she got dragged away. She tried to run away, back the car into the house. Whoever was the bad guy or bad girl, probably bad guy, dragged her away into their own car and left.
So you think that Brianna was struggling, and during the struggle, she backed into the car?
I think so, yeah.
Backed into the house?
Yeah. Because that's the only reason why I could see a car could be backed away in such a manner. You know what I mean? Out of panic.
Another line of thinking is that someone else
Did it.
to set the stage, to stage
why
an
not-
accident.
Okay, but why not take the paychecks? No one would know that the paychecks were there. Just take it.
We don't know where the paychecks were exactly.
okay.
We don't know if it was really
In outside or
visible.
in the glove compartment.
It was middle of the night. Maybe it's possible that this person missed the paychecks.
They missed some cash there.
Maybe they weren't thinking about the money. Potentially. So around 4 a.m., there was another person who drove past. Now, this is quite a bit after Brianna was, no longer at the car scene, if we would believe the first two witnesses. Her former boyfriend. What a coincidence. On Saturday, March 20th, drove past this area. He was partying across the border in Canada. And as he was driving, he thought he recognized the vehicle, but he did not see anyone around it. So this is very weird because we have a former boyfriend who was partying in Canada allegedly. So he was most likely drinking, or was he just, in Canada drinking orange juice? I bet he was probably drinking some
No, it
alcohol.
could be the next day. Yeah, it could be the next day. Just going back home from.
Still tipsy though. 4 a.m.
Oh, 4 a.m.
4 a.m. It's not
Okay.
4 p.m. 4 a.m.
I thought it was like midday or something.
No. Conveniently, ex-boyfriend drives past. Okay, just a complete it's just a coincidence. Nothing weird, right?
I could see how this could be just a coincidence. Yeah.
And then he sees his ex-girlfriend's car and abandoned in a weird way, smashed. I'm gonna
Go back home and sleep.
because he was maybe drunk.
Yeah, or he was also a teenager.
Yeah, okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to make this guy as suspicious as possible, but
It seems like it's just a mixture of alcohol potentially and ignorance.
what a coincidence.
Definitely.
I wonder if this boyfriend has been looked into.
Yeah.
Because what a coincidence. But then again, if he had anything to do with the disappearance, why would he?
Step up and say that he's
Yeah,
seen
why
the
would
car.
he implicate?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Why would
Yep.
he implicate? So, I guess we have to let him slide.
I think so, yeah.
And the last people that have seen the car were actually some motorists that were passing the area, and they actually are the reason why we even have these images of the car. Because the pictures that we've seen of the car, they have been taken by these last people. This group of motorists who stopped at the scene and they found the car suspicious, so they took pictures of it. Because later on, when police officers were dispatched, they did not take any pictures. They just called the towing company, but they did not take the pictures. So the only reason why we even see how the car looked like was because these dudes just stopped and took some pictures.
That's interesting, though. Like taking pictures of a random car.
But I could see how that would happen because I would
it's just so weird.
it's so weird. I would take pictures. I would even take a look at the car. I would even go closer to the car, personally, And yeah, so that constitutes the sightings. The law enforcement, they began their investigation. And at first, they were skeptical of foul play. And they were assuming that Brianna was a runaway. The area surrounding the abandoned house was combed by foot by police and search dogs, and nothing was found. That's what it says on Wikipedia, but there were items laying around the car, so it's not like there's absolutely nothing there. There are items, scattered, but I guess what they mean is that they didn't find any more clues. Brianna's car was processed by the crime laboratory for evidence and had been impounded at the local garage for several days, and then later returned to the Maitland family. Her father, Bruce, noted that Brianna's ATM card, her glasses, her contact lens case, and migraine medication had been left inside the car. So it seems like regular stuff that, a teenager or actually anyone would have with them. It was later concluded by law enforcement that, they did a switcheroo and they were like, it's probably foul play. In 2007, FBI provided flyers, and they stated that the scene at which Brianna's car was discovered had been most likely staged to appear as an accident. So FBI came out and they said that it's probably a staging.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we kind of have to go with the FBI.
Staging, yeah.
Brianna's parents publicly speculated that she may have been abducted by multiple people because of her extensive jiu-jitsu training. But then again, I will say this. If someone has a weapon, I think it would take just one person to kidnap Brianna, potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
So I'm not sure if there were a necessity for multiple people here. And then, Maura Murray's case happened sometime previously. And there were comparisons between the two cases.
I can see why some people think they were connected. Because...
it's two young women.
Yep. Both disappeared.
After car incidents. But then what? Is this like car incident killer?
There's only two of them. Definitely not. I don't think they're connected though. I really don't think so.
Yeah, me neither. I'm just gonna step ahead here and I will say in my opinion, there's no connection between Brianna's case and Maura's case.
Yeah.
Because Maura's case looks like Maura left on her own accord. Sure, a potentially malicious individual may have caught up with her later on, but to me seems like Brianna was immediately like taken away, and it seemed like Brianna was potentially meeting someone while Maura was just, from all accounts, was just heading somewhere, anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't think they're connected. And Brianna and Maura, they had nothing in common. They were not familiar with each other. And I don't think they had any common acquaintances either.
Yeah, that's true.
So then the investigation started, and we have some very interesting developments that came out of the investigation. Right? So what, did you get scared here?
No, I was like, when you said right, I was like, yeah. Not sure what you're talking about, but okay.
Okay. So let me tell you what I'm talking about.
Yes, please.
So I'm talking about that. This was kind of a huge moment in the case. Okay, initially, in the weeks after Brianna's disappearance, Police received an anonymous tip claiming that Brianna was held against her will in a house in nearby Berkshire, which is 10 miles away from Montgomery. So let's say around 10 miles away from where, the car was seen, was found. And the house that was implicated by this anonymous tip, or I don't know if it was anonymous, but it was an anonymous tip. It was an anonymous tip implicating a specific rented house in Berkshire where the person, the caller said that Brianna was held, kidnapped, captive, and this was in the week after her disappearance. So this was not like a year ago, 2 years ago. This was immediate tip coming in, and the house at that point was rented by Ramon Ryans and Nathaniel Charles Jackson, two known drug dealers from New York, and police raided that house on April 15, which was a month into Brianna's disappearance. They found drugs, but they found cocaine and marijuana, but they did not find Brianna. Okay, I don't know why they raided. Okay, really quickly. I don't know why they raided this house, because it seems like they raided the house. The tip came in 1 week into the disappearance that Brianna is still alive. And they raided the house a month later, 1 month into the disappearance. So I believe that law enforcement didn't, if I understand correctly, they didn't believe, or maybe they didn't have the legal right to raid the house at that point. Because if you're seriously assuming that, a 17-year-old girl is kidnapped, you will go immediately.
As soon as you can.
As soon as you can. And it seems like it took them some time. So I think they maybe raided these two guys because of drug stuff.
I think so.
But you looked into these Ramon and Nathaniel, right?
Yes, actually. Basically, Ramon. Is he Raymond or is he Ramon?
Oh man, he's probably Raymond.
Probably Ramon.
He's probably Raymond.
Yeah, so they're okay. Ramon, Raymond, whoever he is, however his name is pronounced, he's also basically known as Street.
What?
Street name, Street.
Oh.
Yep. And Nathaniel Jackson, street name, Low. Street and Low.
Street and Low, okay.
And basically, yeah, as you mentioned, the police received an anonymous tip and they were raided, but Brianna's body was never found, although they have a very shady, I would say, history, and then what happened after that's also pretty shady.
So they were drug dealers.
They were definite drug dealers, yep. And apparently, and I read this in one article I saw online about them, and apparently several teenagers in Brianna's circle felt uneasy around Low, Nathaniel Charles Jackson.
Oh man, you really found this information.
Yeah, apparently Nathaniel frequently pressured them and begged them to accompany him to cities like Burlington or New York, offering them drugs, money, and stays in high-end hotels. And from multiple sources, this article says that he learned that Low, Nathaniel, convinced a local girl to travel to New York City with him. And she was excited to see the city for the first time, blah, blah, blah. But once they arrived, Low apparently attempted to pimp her out. Yep. And when the girl refused, he abandoned her in New York.
just to fend for herself. Do we know how old these guys were?
I couldn't find any information about that.
Okay.
But I'm assuming proper adults, and they're targeting teenage girls.
Yeah, it feels like they're older than than Brianna.
For sure.
Like we're talking about like late 20s, maybe people in even in their 30s.
I think so. Yeah, somewhere around that range.
Okay.
And get this. Apparently, not long after Brianna disappeared, Nathaniel was threatening her friends at the McDonald's drive-thru and said something like, "If I go down for this, all of you little bitches are going down with me.
Oh, damn.
And I'll have you all missing." Later, he parked outside one of the girls' homes and he revved his engine for several minutes. The girl's mother wanted to confront him, but the teenager begged her not to, worried about how Nathaniel would react. After 10 minutes, he drove off. Creepy, right?
Yeah, this is interesting development in the case.
And I am not sure. 1 second.
Take your time, man. Because I don't have this. I don't have these details. So
He was also reportedly abusing his girlfriend. And I couldn't remember exactly which one. Let me double check later on. But one of them had a girlfriend who also went missing. And then
and was never found.
no, she was found dead. But then apparently one of those dudes weren't the culprit. It was another friend. Something involving drugs.
So whomever's girlfriend it was from these two guys,
Yeah.
they weren't responsible for that lady's death.
No, but it's just pretty weird.
It's a coincidence.
Yeah, I didn't write it down because I didn't want this whole episode to be around them because they're basically could be just bad people. And I want it to be for Brianna. So it's either one of them.
But I mean, the information.
The information is creepy.
That you brought up right now, it looks like this is really about them.
Yeah.
At the moment, this sounds to me like these guys are prime suspects.
At least Nathaniel, yeah. I do think they are somehow involved because I think it was Ramon's girlfriend. I couldn't really remember which one. But yeah, I think it was his girlfriend who was murdered by someone else because of drugs. Either way, it's something involving drugs. And I do think drugs could potentially be used here. What do you think?
Yeah, seems like drugs played a role in this case. So I have a little bit more information about the anonymous tip that implicated, these two guys. So apparently it was an older woman.
Yeah.
An older female who called in the tip.
It was apparently an affidavit.
Yeah, so that means that this person swears that I'm telling the truth. I'm not lying. It swears in court. So if you're just playing games, you're probably not going to do this affidavit. But if you...
Oh man, even if I'm telling the truth, I wouldn't go that length. I'd be like, yeah, this is the truth. Believe it or not, this is the truth. But this woman, whoever she is...
Maybe the court forced her,
Potentially,
maybe there was some sort of reason that she had to do it. But also at the same time, she described in detail that Brianna was murdered during an argument over money that she had lent to Ramon to purchase crack. And that her body had been temporarily stored in the basement of a recently incarcerated local women's home. So someone who just went to jail, they brought her body there. And then they dismembered it with a table saw and disposed of the body parts in a pig farm. Police...
That's so detailed. Police, so specific.
So specific. Who is this older female? Is she like credible? Because if this is a credible older female, because if this person just has bad blood with these two and trying to implicate them, then that's one thing. But what if this is just a credible person? And first of all, how would they even know this information?
That's true.
Such
Could be
it's almost
someone
like
within the inner circle.
it's like you have to be there to see it.
Do you think it could be one of the girlfriends?
I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah, seems so.
The family of Brianna, they reported that they had received several weird phone calls after Brianna went missing. And people, I think multiple people, were calling them and telling them that Brianna was tied to a tree in the woods and that she had been disposed of at the bottom of the lake. So it could be either prank calls or could be legitimate tips.
I don't know how to answer that one, really.
Yeah, me neither.
It could be anything once again.
Yeah. So other than Low and Street, the two dudes that we talked about, there weren't any people directly connected other than Israel Keys.
Yep.
Israel Keys has been mentioned.
And when he's always mentioned in a lot of different cases, but at the same time, we can never know for sure. Whatever he did and the list of murders,
It's crazy.
it's crazy.
But did you try to see if there was a possibility?
Yes, actually, I could split this segment into two ways. One could be why he was the culprit, and the other one why he's not the culprit.
No, that's good.
Okay, so Keys was active around the area, apparently. Well, at that time, he was known to have operated in Vermont and the Northeast.
Yeah.
Once again, it's very vague, it's very general, but this is Israel Keys we're talking about, so.
Yeah, but he did have the murder victims.
He admitted to killing a couple in Essex, Vermont in 2009.
Which is quite a bit after Brianna's case.
And apparently, he would travel Route 118 when leaving his cabin in New York to the family cabin in Maine. It's the most direct route that passes Brianna's work and the crash site. So just the fact that
Oh, really?
he passes it's already like creepy.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Along the way, he would pass the old Dutch burn house located in the curb of Route 118. And
He would?
Yeah.
So Israel Keys actually would pass the abandoned house?
And only a mile away from Brianna's work, which is also located off the same road.
Yeah. So he would be
Drive
in that
past, yep.
road? Okay, that's kind of crazy now. I'm not gonna lie.
And why it might not be him, just mainly because of the lack of direct evidence. And, well, as we all know, Israel Keys confessed to multiple murders, but never really mentioned Brianna or somehow
Yeah.
like describe.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that same question. Wouldn't someone like Israel Keys immediately
Or at least mention that it was a teenage girl or something.
or just admit to it? Why admit to so much but then
leave this part.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Israel Keys used to do kill kits, remember?
Yes, I remember.
And they couldn't find anything around that area, so
I mean, it could be well hidden.
could be very well hidden.
And honestly, how would he be? Would he be just waiting for anyone there and Brianna just?
I mean, there could be maybe a chance that Brianna was parked there and he passed by.
or maybe he
Or he was waiting
trying to pull someone
or
over.
stalking Brianna. Honestly, it seems highly unlikely, but I wouldn't completely disregard this thought mainly because it's just Israel keys,
Yeah, I would agree.
right?
I would agree. So, other than the Israel Keys connection and the you know Ramon and Nathaniel connection, there's no one really mentioned ever, other
No.
than Kelly Lacrosse.
Oof.
Kelly Lacrosse, the teenager who punched.
Okay, I would just say, yeah, she may have punched Brianna, but that was one time and it could have been just so unexpected. But do I think she had the power to abduct and make Brianna disappear forever? No, I don't think so. Brianna could have easily defended herself in this scenario.
What if it was more than just Kelly Lacrosse? What if it was multiple teenagers? Maybe even young adults
That's
that Kelly
true.
knew.
And they panicked and maybe backed the car.
Maybe it was supposed to be just to rough her up again, but it spiraled out of control and by accident they killed her. Maybe they hit her with a rock or something and it was an accidental kill. Maybe
Oh,
maybe the
yeah.
intention was never to kill
Just
Brianna.
teach her a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
To
now that you
intimidate her
mentioned it,
to intimidate her to drop the charge.
yeah, now that you mentioned it, that abandoned house,
Was a teenage hangout.
yep.
So I found some information very loosely corroboratable, let's put it that way.
Is that even a word?
No.
Corroboratable? Okay, anyways.
So Kelly avoided her assault charges after Brianna went missing and she didn't have to face the consequences. However, her life did spiral out of control. We're talking about Kelly Lacrosse here. She developed a drug addiction, and there are numerous police reports from Vermont mentioning Kelly Lacrosse in cases for disturbing and possessing meth and crack.
Okay, I just have to say, how did teenage girls get a hold of drugs?
I think it was just like that, There's teenagers.
There's no way. We were both teenagers once.
Yeah, but this is a different location. This is more like, I think in America it's like in the
No way, because
East Coast.
I grew up, my neighbor, like literally the one in front of our place, that neighbor was a known seller and user. But I never even saw it.
Yeah, because you were never into it.
So there was some sort of drug thing going on in that city targeting teenage girls then.
I think it's everywhere. I think drugs are everywhere. It's just that you and me,
But you need
we
to be
weren't-
connected though.
not necessarily as a girl. I think as a girl it's easier. Because that stuff is going to be just thrown at you in parties as a girl, I assume. So I think we were just never into that stuff. But I think if you're a girl and you're into going out and partying, that's gonna, you're gonna eventually, run across it.
You think so?
I think so. I think you're just gonna run across it. Don't need to necessarily look hard to find it.
Okay.
So Kelly Lacrosse, she didn't have a DUI, and she almost killed her child as she was driving drunk.
Do you think she spiraled down mainly because of Brianna's disappearance?
No.
Maybe it hit her so hard. And
No.
You don't think so?
I think she just spiraled down because that's what she's probably gonna do. But there is also some people claiming that, apparently Kelly was out of state when Brianna went missing
Okay.
because she was visiting her mother. And she was apparently a bad person, but seems like nothing really is connecting Kelly LaCrosse to Brianna's disappearance, other than favorable circumstances that let her off the hook for punching her in the face 3 weeks prior to Brianna's disappearance. I don't know why they left her off the hook. She should still be like held accountable for what she did.
Definitely, definitely. Although, do I think she made Brianna disappear? I don't think so. I feel like there's something deeper and probably stronger that made her disappear, because at the end of the day, they're just a bunch of teenagers. How, I mean, making someone disappear and the police never even finding the body, how can you pull that off?
Well, the crime scene was
A little bit messed up.
poorly taken care of. I wouldn't rule that out.
But where did they hide her, if that's the case?
Anywhere. Vermont is a very rural place. They could hide her.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
let's jump into something very interesting that happened in 2006.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not quite yet.
06, 2 years into Brianna's disappearance. Atlantic City, New Jersey. Casino. Rings a bell?
There was a sighting, right?
No.
Oh,
Security camera. Yeah, well, yeah, yes. But it wasn't just a sighting. We have pictures. Go in the file and find the pictures of a girl sitting on a casino table. I think it's at the very bottom of our file.
I see it. Yep.
And you don't tell me that doesn't look like Brianna. It looks like Brianna. Okay, the photo quality is trash. But that looks like Brianna.
No, it could be anyone else though.
Yeah, I will agree with that one. I think it's not Brianna. I don't think Brianna at 19 is at casino tables while her family is looking for her.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. It could even look like that singer, the Pink Pony Club singer. You know
What?
that singer?
Which one?
She's famous. Rowan. Pink Pony Club singer. She has a song. Wait, let me Google it.
Nope.
Here.
Nope. I've never seen this person.
Okay, but she kind of looks like the one in the picture.
No.
No?
Because the woman in the casino table has dark hair. Honestly, if someone would tell me that that's Brianna, I would believe them. If someone told me that the person in the casino was Brianna, wouldn't you believe it?
I don't think so, because she's curly.
Oh yeah, she is.
And it
curly.
looks like natural curls, not like you actually
yeah.
style your hair to become like that. And that's why I told you she kind of looks like this singer instead.
Okay.
What do you think?
No, yeah. In general, I would say that's not Brianna in the casino because I just don't think a 19-year-old Brianna is like
Managed to pull off such a massive
runaway.
Yep.
I don't know.
Either way, if it was, then I would have been happier for her.
Of course, this is the best possible outcome, but sadly, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
So, last piece of development that we have is this new thing that came out actually a couple of years ago. It's DNA.
Oh, it's recent. Okay.
Yeah, they got DNA.
How? I don't know how they managed to do that.
So, in 2016, on the 12th anniversary of Brianna's disappearance, investigators revealed that they were able to recover DNA samples from Brianna's car, and the test results were not made public. However, in 2022, just 3 years ago, police revealed that they had found a match They had
What?
found a match to the DNA sample found in Brianna's car. However, the identity of the person has not been released, although officials did say it belonged to one of the 11 people that they have tested previously in connection to Brianna's disappearance. So it was a match for one of the person of interests, at least earlier on in the case. So, more information about this DNA sample. It was discovered on an item at the scene where the car was found, whatever that would mean. And I have even more information here. Approximately 1 week after Brianna was last seen, state police, early days into her disappearance, they returned to the scene and conducted a canine search. The search resulted in the collection of an item of interest from the ground that was unmoved for 1 week, apparently.
What kind of item is this?
So, yeah, we don't know exactly what kind of item it could be. But police said that it's important to note that this doesn't mean that they have identified the suspect in this case, and they are continuing active efforts to investigate every possible lead in this case. And they are trying to use the latest DNA technology to kind of get more out of this sample. And what could this DNA sample be? So it could be from whom it could be. So why police is saying that this is not a potential suspect, because this could be a passerby person, who just maybe left something at the car scene because they came back 1 week later. So it could be someone who came onto the scene after the disappearance. So that person could be
someone close to Brianna.
Someone close to Brianna, someone that was investigated as a person of interest.
And he or she went at the crime scene.
Potential, but that's just one of the scenarios. Okay. Another scenario that it could have been a friend of or acquaintance of Brianna who was in fact meeting up with her at the time of her disappearance, which would definitely indicate that if that was the scenario, you kind of have to think, damn, that's probably not good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This person could be involved.
Or it could be just a case wherein someone went inside her car, rode with her, and left like a strand of hair there or something.
Yeah. So what the item could be, it could be a cigarette butt, it could be a piece of clothing like a hat, a glove or something like that. It could be a drink.
Fingerprints?
Nah, I think it's an item.
Oh.
It could be like a drink container, a trash, or it could be even a weapon. That's what ChatGPT suggested, but it was never revealed what exactly this item was.
I mean, at least they're doing something still, even after a long period of time. It's been years and years.
It's been years, man. And hopefully this is coming out on the 21st anniversary of Brianna Maitland. It's a crazy case.
It's a really crazy case. What do you think about it? What do you think happened?
So before we jump into that, one last thing that I want everyone listening to this podcast right now, go on the YouTube channel, because we're going to be looking at some images. If you go to the crime scene pictures, there's an excellent Reddit post made by some guy that I forgot to credit. This person, they did a in-depth analysis.
Wait, is this Fatsy Klein 12?
Probably not.
I did see some Reddit pictures.
No.
Okay.
Probably not.
Either way, credited.
Yeah. At least someone's got credited. So if you would jump to the crime scene pictures, these are like a set of images at the very end of our file. If you could find them. I'm going to be showing this on the YouTube channel so people
I can see them.
Follow along. So could you jump to the picture that where there's a red square Sorry, a red circle on the right side of the car.
Yes, but what are we looking at?
So
I can see bottles.
you see bottles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But look at the ground. The ground looks like a, a car was there. Like that ground in the red circle looks like it's flattened. And there's a zoom in picture below the red circle picture, and there's like highlights, like blue highlights. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, actually, it is.
This person on Reddit, they claim that this to them looks like at some point the car, Brianna's car,
Mm-hmm.
was initially parked close to those water bottles, but later was moved forward and then purposely backed up to make it look like an accident.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense though. If it's just a cover up, why not make it so grave that it's actually believable? Why just back into a random abandoned house and like, oh, people will think it's an accident.
Because
Call it a day.
you're in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the moment.
Not
and
thinking
also,
straight.
you're the one driving. Think about it. If you're driving the car and you're staging a crime scene or an accident, would you drive head on into something and mess yourself up?
No, maybe
Or
like
back
put a
into
car, put a brick on like the accelerator or
There's
something.
no time. We need to abduct Brianna at the same time.
Mm.
Everything's happening so quick. And if that's the case, then I would think that multiple people would be responsible. One of the person is abducting Rihanna, the other person is staging a crime scene. I don't know why there's a need to stage a car accident to begin with.
That's true.
Wouldn't it be enough to just leave the car there already?
And it's gonna be if, for example, there wasn't a staged car accident. There could be another theory here. She could have just ran away.
Ran away.
I think by staging this, if it actually was staged,
Wouldn't you even make it more like you're gonna get inside of the car, leave your DNA in the car, make a big fuss about it.
but make sure you're not injured or anything, and then run away.
It doesn't make sense.
No, I don't think so. I really am.
So it
convinced.
wasn't but the FBI came out.
That's true.
FBI was
come
like, it's a
on.
staging. But why would you stage? What's the point of
So
staging?
official. They can't
Wow.
just go against what they found.
The feds.
Yeah.
But I would say that I don't see the reason. I don't see a logical reason to stage. Why would you stage this crime? Why would you stage? There's no reason to stage. If you're gonna abduct Brianna Maitland, why then abduct her and then bang the car backwards? I think it could have been a struggle in the car, and Brianna accidentally, instead of going forward, went backward.
That's what I was thinking as well. But are we
Right?
really going against the FBI?
Man, yeah, because the FBI looks kind of, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. But it doesn't make sense what the FBI is telling me right now.
We're just two corporate workers. Please don't hate us.
No, man, we're just talking about some
What we think, basically.
some interesting topics. But yeah, I would say let's wrap this one up because I don't have anything else to say. My conclusion, if you're
Yeah.
going to ask for it, is that Brianna Maitland's case involves foul play.
Me too. And I'm going with yes, she backed up. It was a complete accident. There was a struggle. She was abducted and there was a foul play. I'm going against the FBI on this one.
I would also go against the FBI if that's the case. And then also I would like to say 21st anniversary of Brianna Maitland. It's so sad because this is a girl who, she passed her like GED. Like it was a good day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good day. She was just going to work. Everything was fine.
I wonder what's happening there though, because she left home at 17. It's way too young. And she was living in different places and friends.
That's true.
There must be something there.
There must be more information, and I'm hoping we're gonna learn more about her case. And like it's the anniversary in 2 days. I mean, maybe there's a chance
That it will get solved.
No, sometimes police release information on the anniversary. So maybe there's going to be something on Wednesday.
Man, I hope so.
I hope there's going to be something more on Wednesday. We'll see. Probably not, because I think they released some new details last year, which was on her 20th anniversary, which was, like a big anniversary. So I would say, man, hopefully we get some more information. Man, I really want this thing to be solved. Like somehow specifically Brianna's case. And I just enjoyed like digging into this one a little bit, like trying to see what happened. Hopefully we just spread some awareness.
Definitely.
Nothing wrong with that, hopefully. And, staying respectful here. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the case.
Let us know what you think, please.
Let us know what you think. And I saw someone mentioning in the comments that they would like to see something completely new.
And we will do that.
We will definitely do it.
We promise.
Promise, yeah. Definitely going into something, because I would like to focus on some new topics that we never researched.
Yeah, it's just that we already talked about Montgomery.
It started with the Bennington Triangle, actually. Then we started talking about Maura. Then we started talking about Brianna.
I just thought like we already talked about Maura and Brianna is somehow connected. Let's go talk about Brianna again.
That's true, and we did. And it's her 21st anniversary, so good timing. And I would say thank you guys for listening. Leave your thoughts in the comment section of the YouTube channel.
We'll see you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.